Hey everyone, welcome to the video. Going to be going over the MLB main slate for the DraftKings. It's a monster slate, 13 games. That's why this video is coming out a little bit later, and also made my cheat sheet, so it took a little while with all the games and players to look over. But also, I do like other players that aren't on my cheat sheet. I just like to list the top three in like terms of value and whatnot. So if I don't have a player listed, it doesn't mean I don't like them. So if you have any questions about any other players, you can comment below. Remember to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate that. And feel free to follow me on Twitter at cpen_16. I can answer questions on there as well. Anyway, let's get into this slate. So I do have my cheat sheet ready, and then after this, I thought we could take a quick look at plate IQ and look over some of the numbers of my favorite stacks and pitchers. But at pitcher today, my number one's going to be Stephen Strasburg, and I think it's going to be that's going to be reflected in ownership today. He's 10,300, and I know he's an up and down pitcher, but he has top end stuff, and it's just facing a weak Giants team, 24% K rate, 129 team ISO, and it's the second lowest implied total on the slate. So for the Giants, so I think Strasburg's in a fantastic spot, and I mean he's got elite stuff. It's just sometimes he struggles with control. And then we have Tyler Glasnow, 10,600. I think he's a nice pivot off of Strasburg. In cash, I would go Strasburg, but he's had an incredible start to the year and can rack up the Ks. He has a 28% K rate, and Baltimore has the lowest implied total on the slate, and he's a heavy favorite as well. So really like Tyler Glasnow. It's also a good pitcher's park in Tampa. Then for SP2 tonight, looks like I'm going to be spending up on pitcher today. Not sure how lineup construction is going to be, but really like John Gray's my SP2. San Diego fares much better versus lefties, but John Gray versus righties, they have a 298 WOBA and 25% K rate, and John Gray's very good versus righties, so it just makes a lot of sense to me. Good pitcher's park. He's not in Coors. He's much better away from Coors, so really like John Gray today at SP2 if you can afford it. At catcher, we have Yasmani Grandal. He didn't play yesterday. I think he would have been a really nice play, but 4,300 today, projected to bet cleanup right now, and he hits righties very well. 294 ISO, 400 WOBA, and it's a good hitter's park. So really like Grandal today. Brewers are always pretty good at home. And JT Realmuto, 4,100. Mats gives up a lot of hard contact to righties, and JT should have plenty of RBI opportunities here. He's predicted to bat fifth, and he's got a lot of good guys in front of him. So really like JT if you can afford him. Then Omar Narvaez, 3,700. I know Bieber's a pretty good pitcher, but he has major splits versus lefties, and Narvaez has been great to start the year. One of the guys we've been playing a lot, actually. And Bieber allows a 231 ISO to lefties and 46% hard contact, so I think we can pick on him a little bit there. And then at first base, Ryan O'Hearn. I just realized that doesn't have a title on there, but Ryan O'Hearn, he's 3,900, and he has a 347 ISO versus righties and 435 WOBA versus them as well. And Lopez also gives up a lot of hard contact to lefties and some power, so really like Ryan O'Hearn. He should be batting fifth, I believe. Daniel Vogelbach, 4,700. Same reasons we like Narvaez. He just struggles versus lefties, and Vogelbach's been white hot to start the year, 311 ISO and 421 WOBA versus righties. And Chris Davis, if we want to go dumpster dive, he's going to allow us to get some really nice bats in, like Mike Trout, 2,100, and he's been on a hot streak. He's dirt cheap, and like I said, gets some good bats in. And if he gets on base, we're getting value, guys, so that's really all it's going to take. And second base, we have Jose Altuve leading the way, 4,800. Estrada has reverse splits and gives up a ton of power and hard contact versus righties, so people are afraid of. Well, they shouldn't be afraid of righty matchup, but all the righties are in amazing spots here. I know it's not a very good park for hitting, but they are implied 5 runs today, so Vegas does like them to score, and I kind of agree with that. Robinson Cano, 3,700. I really like him today. Really nice value. Pavetta's been a dumpster fire to start the year, and Cano can hit righties well, and it's a pretty good hitter's park. And Pavetta will give up a lot of hard contact to lefties as well. Sorry. And Max Muncy, 4,600. Molly, I think it's Molly, gives up a ton of hard contacts versus lefties, and Muncy smashes righties. 302 ISO and 405 WOBA versus righties. So Muncy's in a really nice spot. I really don't like where he's hitting in the order, but should be okay. Now at third base, we have Alex Bregman, 4,600. He's going to lead the way. Love all these righties versus Estrada. As I said, he reverse splits earlier, so I'm not going to go over that again. Nolan Arenado, 4,500. He's finally finding his power stroke, and because he's had a couple home runs the past couple games. And he gets another lefty on the mound, 377 ISO versus lefties. He's one of the best lefty smashers in the league. Then third, we also have Travis Shaw, 3,600. I know he's ice cold, but he's got to break out eventually. He's only 3,600 in a very hitter-friendly park, and he's got a 267 ISO versus righties. So one of these days he's going to have to break out. And shortstop, we have Alberto Mondesi, 5,100. Lopez sucks and Mondesi doesn't, so it's just science, guys. Lopez gets crushed by lefties, and Mondesi has a 224 ISO versus righties, and he has power and speed. It's just going to be hard to fit him in your lineups, especially paying 5,100 for him. I'd rather try to spend up like on a guy like Trout. Corey Seager, 4,200. I really like this spot for him today, and the price. Should be hitting around second or third, and Molly's very bad versus lefties. He gives up a 273 ISO versus lefties and hard contact all around, and Corey Seager hits righties better, so just makes a lot of sense. And then Carlos Correa, 4,500, just another righty versus Estrada. Make sure you guys can see this. Okay, so high price outfield, always got to be Mike Trout. I know he kind of disappointed yesterday just because of what Yelich did, but he did fine anyway. He still got, 10 points. But he's better versus righties, but he's still elite versus lefties. And if Minor throws his changeup to Trout, which is the secondary pitch that he throws to righties a lot, Trout has a 475 ISO and 545 WOBA versus that. So I could expect a home run if he sees a changeup. And Christian Yelich, 5,400. It would be a crime not to mention him here. 289 ISO and 429 WOBA versus righties. If I was the Cards, I'd just walk him every time. He smashed them 3 times yesterday. I thought the Cardinals were pretty stupid yesterday, and when he hit his third home run, they had 3 lefties up in the order, and then they bring in a righty, and then they pitched to Yelich anyway, so this didn't make a lot of sense there. It wasn't very smart. But if they're going to pitch to him, Yelich is in an awesome spot. Then we have Austin Meadows, 5,000. Rays have a run total of over 5 today, and Bundy has extreme splits versus lefties, 231 ISO, 401 WOBA, tons of hard contact, so Meadows is in a nice spot, and he's been pretty hot. Then in the mid-range outfield, Jock Peterson's leading the way, 4,800. He's leading off versus a righty, so you know the drill. And by the way, he's homered every time he's been on the cheat sheet, so we'll have to keep the streak alive. So hopefully I didn't just jinx him, but he's in a great spot. And Molly gets crushed by lefties, and Peterson has about a 300 ISO versus righties. So really a good spot for Peterson. Alex Gordon, 4,600. Just went the lefties versus Lopez, and Gordon's been hot to start the year. It's a pretty high Vegas total as well. I think it's, 9, so it's up there in the slate. And then George Springer, 4,400. He's really cheap, and I usually like him versus lefties, but Estrada's a reverse splits righty. He gives up a ton of power, and Vegas expects the Astros to put up some runs, and I agree. So, like George Springer, and his price is really nice too. Then cheap outfield, we have Max Kepler, 4,200. Sanchez struggles versus lefties, and Kepler can hit righties well, 187 ISO and a high walk rate and low K rate, so Kepler makes a lot of sense. And the Twins have a decent amount of implied run today. It's a 9 over under in that game, so. And then Billy McKinney, 3,600. He did awesome for us last time he played. I think that was on Sunday. Don't expect 30 points again, but cheap and leading off versus righty, 214 ISO versus righty. So McKinney's in a nice spot. Danny Santana, he was really good yesterday. He got us 20 points. So he did very well. He's got speed and power upside, which gives us a nice floor. And Barria's a reverse splits righty, so that means he's going to be worse versus righties. And Santana's going to hit high in the order. So, and the over-under there in that game, I think it's up to 11 now. So I was expecting a lot of runs to be scored, and I really like Danny Santana. So for some of the core plays I have right now, I got Strasburg and Gray as my 2 pitchers. I could change based on if there's some really nice value opening up at pitcher, but I'm not really seeing anything right now. So I'm kind of wanting to spend up, and I think there's enough value bats to be able to do that. And then the impactful weather, there is none today that I've seen right now, but always make sure to keep a look on that on Twitter because things can change. And the Vegas totals should be right there somewhere. Can't really see the screen right now. And then the top stacks are going to be the Rangers, the Dodgers lefties, the Astros, and the Rays. So those are my top stacks. I like any of those guys in there. I know I don't have a lot of Rangers players listed because they're so expensive, but I think they're all in good spots as well. So let's take a look at Plate IQ for a little bit, just to go over some of the numbers. So my number 1 pitcher today is going to be Steven Strasburg, and if you just take a look at this lineup, it's really bad. They have a team ISO 128, so I don't think Strasburg should give up a ton of power here. I mean, they're not going to strike out a ton, but I think Strasburg will offset that. I think he can definitely get some strikeouts. I mean, Strasburg has a 33% K rate to righties, 24% to lefties, and this lineup just is really bad. So really like Strasburg today. And if you take a look at Glass now, going against Baltimore, Baltimore's not a very scary lineup. I know they've been okay lately, but Glasnow's pretty good. Doesn't give up a lot of hard contact to lefties. It's kind of weird. He gives up actually a lot of them to the righties. But he's got a really nice strikeout rate, around 30%, and Orioles team isn't very good. They're going to strike out 25% of the time to righties, 143 ISO, team ISO, just very low team WOBA as well. So nothing to be too scared of. I think he's a nice tournament pivot off of Strasburg. And then John Gray is my SP2. I can't find him. Second. Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, so this San Diego team is much better versus lefties. When it comes to righties, they're going to strike out 23% of the time, and they just have a lower overall team ISO. So if you look at them versus lefties, they're going to have a lot more power, a much higher team MOBA, about the same K rate, but definitely much more scary versus the lefties. But when they go to the righties, it's pretty watered down. And Jon Gray's pretty good. And it's a really righty-heavy lineup, so I know he has worse splits versus lefties, but it's going to be neutralized by the fact there's so many righties in the lineup, so I think Jon Gray should have no problem getting through this game. And I'm a big Jon Gray fan. I like to play him a lot when he's away from Coors. So for some of these stacks, let's take a look at Texas, as I have number 1, and Vegas has them scoring a ton of runs tonight. Barria's not very good, and he really struggles versus righties as well. I mean, he's not that good versus lefties either, but he gives up more power to righties, and I'm okay with using the lefties as well. So you can use pretty much anyone in this lineup. I said I really like Danny Santana. Choose fine, Andrews, Mazzara, Gallo, all these guys are fine. Joey Gallo can just hit the ball to the park anywhere against anyone, as long as he makes contact. Then I like these Astros here in a late game, going against Estrada. If I can find it. Okay, so yeah, Estrada, he's not very good. He's going to give a ton of hard contact to righties, and this is a very righty-heavy lineup, kind of like Barria, he's a reverse splits pitcher. And these guys have a lot of power. Alex Bregman really standing out as the best play. Correa's fine. Springer's fine. Altuve's fine. I don't mind. I think this stack's going to go lower owned just because of some of the other guys on the slate. And the Astros usually tend to go under owned, so I think they're in a really nice spot here. The park's not very good, but I like them tonight. And then I like the Dodgers lefties going against Molly Mail. Not sure how you say it, but take a look at his splits. He's decent versus righties, not the best, but when it comes to lefties, he's really bad. Gives up a ton of power. And the Dodgers have some really good lefties. Jock Peterson, Corey Seager, Max Muncy. I really like those 3 guys a lot. I think they're all in play tonight. Then the Rays, well, not that high on, but I think I'm going to mention them here. Meadows has been hot, and Bundy, he gives up a lot of hard contact to both, but he's better versus righties. But versus lefties, he can't really strike them out a lot, and he gives up a lot of power, so all these guys are in play here. Austin Meadows, Tommy Pham, Choi, his first name I think is G-Man. Yandy Diaz is fine. Lowe is even fine as well. So all these guys are nice plays versus Dylan Bundy too. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for the video. If you have any questions, you can comment below. Remember to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate that, and good luck today.